mine.
Yes, no doubt. How's everything with you?
Honor and respect.
Every day. Every day.
And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, live on the Philippe Matthews Show. Thank you for tuning in wherever you're around the world. Finally got the date scheduled, rescheduled. Sorry about having to do that. Was under the weather, as they say. But we're here with two of my favorite people. Professor Kaba Hiawatha Kamene, of course, you know, is the star of Hidden Colors 1 through 4 and the recent film 1804, Hidden History of Haiti, author of honoring William Leo Hansberry, and also the star narrator of Out of Darkness. Welcome back, Professor.
Hotep to my brother Philippe. Thank you for inviting me back. I've been looking forward to this. To be with my sister, Attorney Dantò. It is an honor and a pleasure to be with you, my sister. I've followed your work for a while. We've been friends for a long time.
I know. I didn't even
so
know that.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And without further ado, Èzili Dantò is the star of the new hit documentary 1804, Hidden History of Haiti as well. She's a human rights and international law attorney and founder and executive director of the Haitian Lawyers Leadership Network since 1994. And along with the Free Haiti Movement that was founded in 2004, she was a lawyer and a legal consultant for the democratically elected Haitian, the first democratically elected, by the way, Haitian president. And she's an award-winning playwright and Vodun Jazzoetry performance and poet, and a master Haiti dance choreographer. And so I'm absolutely floored and honored to have Èzili Dantò with me. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Philip, for having me. I love your work and the people that you have on.
Thank you so much. Well, we have a lot to talk about. We originally had this scheduled, I believe, on the 15th of November, and I had to go under some stuff and wasn't able to talk about, because it was about November 18th, which was the Battle of Vertières. Can you speak to us about that? I know we've moved forward because there's some stuff coming up now in December, because there's never a dull moment in history when it comes to Haiti. So we're just kind of moving along with it, but we'll start there, and then we'll go back into the history, and then we'll go also into how you guys got together with this film. So start us out with that.
Okay, Professor Kaba, I just love your colors. They are red and black. That was Vertières.
Yes, yes.
It was the final defining battle of the Haitian Revolution. The Haitian Revolution started on August 14th, 1791. And after those 13 years, we had beaten the Africans, who became Haitians in the land of the Tainos, had beaten 3 European armies to become the first republic in the so-called New World, run by Black people. And so it was such a defining battle, and I've done so much on it in the last month or so, because with the Haiti movement, we're always doing something about our historical space. So right now we're in December, and that's like a historical space because that's where the Fort Navidad was first put into Haiti. So, but the Battle of Vertières, for those folks who really want to know about it, we, in the Haiti movement, the Free Haiti Movement, what I do here is 6 or 7 Haitian teach-ins on events that ground us in who we are, what we are. The Battle of Vertières is critically important because after over 1,000 years of Arab enslavement in Africa, and 300 years of European enslavement in the so-called New World, which began in Haiti on December 5th, 1492. And they brought the Africans in 1503 from West Africa all the way down to the Congo, from everywhere, to be enslaved, to run their plantations. So you have 300 years of the most barbaric behavior that the Western Europeans called their civilization. And they brought their missionaries and their Jesuit priests and the Dominican priests, and it was hell. It was hell in an island that used to be a paradise for the people that live there. So that hell I've described in the last couple of months. I've described it a lot, only because it's that hell is what Vertières in the Haitian Revolution destroyed. It destroyed human trafficking and chattel slavery as an appropriate way of interaction. It destroyed direct colonialism. It destroyed forced assimilation. It destroyed the triangular trade. That's it. You know, even the Nazarene, I always say, even the Christians' prophet, or none of the Abrahamic religion prophets had ever said that slavery was wrong. So you can imagine how important Haiti is to the moral ground set for human interaction. And the defining battle of that was the Battle of Vertières on November 18th. And the generals were all Black generals. The ones of significance were General Gabar, General Henri Christophe, and then, of course, the legendary Capois la Mort. Those are the highlights.
Wow, what highlights. Professor Kaba, you had the honor of working with Èzili Dantò in the film 1804 that was produced, written, and directed by Tariq Nasheed. Walk us through that experience and your understanding of this battle.
Well, you know, the important thing, if I could start here, was having been through the saga of the Hidden Colors series. And I'll do it briefly, but it's important to understand why 1804 would have ended up being so very important. Was the fact that when I was first contacted, the first one was talking about the hidden history of African people. Tariq Nasheed had said that he was watching a television program. He begins by in fact, this is typeset on the screen of Hidden Colors 1. He's talking about the fact that he had been watching a show and there was no inclusion of African people. And he said that he knew African people had something to do with this. So he decided he wanted to do something that would offset what was not said about African people. He was going to reveal the hidden colors in history. That was number one. Number two, he decided that he was going to do something on melanin, which is an active cosmic reality that is in all of us that animates our spirit. And it was something that, if I can just stick a pin in this process, my sister had said, Sister Èzili, that's how I pronounce your name. Am I pronouncing your name properly, my sister?
Èzili.
Èzili. Sister Èzili said something about Vodun, which is very important. She emphasized that it's a way of life. And for African people, there's something we have to understand about our spiritual system. And that is that for us, when you look at ancient Africa, when you look at the way in which we've developed, even if you look at the major religions today, we still evoke our religions through a way of life. It's something that we live every day. We may call it a religion because we're caught up in Western civilization. But when you look at the way we out Christianity, we out Islam Muslims, we out Islam Hebrews, we out Islam Buddha, you know, we are the essence, we are the actual evocation of the Creator and our ancestors. So melanin is that life-giving force. So that was number two. Number three was the rules of racism. Number four was the religion of white supremacy. And every time I wonder, where is Hidden Colors going to go next? There is no better defining moment in the existence of African people than what happened in Haiti. And having grown up in a project in New York with so many different cultures of African people, whether they were from Puerto Rico, whether they were from República Dominicana, from Haiti, Antigua, Aruba. I was with all of them. And there was something that united all of us. But it was in Haiti that it was first expressed and developed. What African people do when they have decided that they have had enough. And the strength of the revolution to me of Haiti was that it was the people. As Sister said, it started much before 1804, but it was able to be continued because the revolution was the people's revolution. And there was a proverb by a great brother from Puerto Rico, Don Pedro Albizu Campos, who said that when tyranny is law, revolution is order.
Yes. Like
and
that.
So 1804 became a powerful symbol for me to be a part of this endeavor to talk about, because I don't separate myself from my brothers and sisters in Haiti or Puerto Rico. I don't see a difference in us, because I understand that the movement of African people to this world only took one African people and gave them various different languages. So some of us speak French, some of us speak Dutch, some of us speak English, some of us speak Spanish. But when the day is done, like Malcolm said, they don't attack you because you're Democrat or Republican or because you're a Mason. They don't attack you because you're Christian or Jew. They attack you because you're an African. And once we come to realize that, then we'll understand. And so that, like I said, with my sister, I've told her this personally. I've said this in presentations as it related to 1804. But I was in both premieres in New York City of 1804. The first one I sat and listened. But I got out my pen and notepad on number 2 because I was taking notes on the second one, because I was learning some stuff there. My sister was dropping some knowledge on me. And so it was a powerful experience to just be a part of this because of the respect that I have and the resilience that I have for African people. So when I'm looking for a way to get out of this, I'm looking towards Haiti. Not just back then, but even today. There's things happening and it's going to come through. And I think that if we have a model of resistance and resilience, it's coming from our brothers and sisters from Haiti.
I agree with you 100%. One of the things that attracted me to Èzili is that she is really a modern day revolutionary. And what she not has been doing, but what she is currently doing in the Haitian Lawyers Leadership Network and the Free Haiti Movement is nothing less than spectacular. And every single day I receive an email from her on what is going on in this what she would call a colonial narrative of this current colonial narrative of Haiti, because although we're talking about the film 1804, nothing has changed in 2017 as we move into 2018. The war is still being fought. The battle is still being waged, and it's more sinister now than ever before. Èzili, speak to us. Let's bring it to the current narrative of what is happening right now on the ground in Haiti with the people, and let's just start with that narrative and an update on the current history and the current battles that we're facing as a family.
Yeah. So the enslavement started in Haiti, and we broke those chains. But the Europeans did come back. Within 2 years, the mulatto sons of France had assassinated all the Black generals. And in 2004, France put its foot back into Haiti as soldiers. And it was the first time in 200 years. The Europeans are very cognizant of who we are, what we are. The problem is we don't know who we are and what we are. So they understood that, well, first of all, beating the most powerful armies on the planet at that time, the French, the Spanish, the British, and then we were dealing with US mercenaries, an embargo. And so that destroyed this idea that because of your skin color, you are superior. That destruction of white supremacy is something that white elites cannot deal with. And so they always have to pummel Haiti, pummel to the point of constant being the failed state, of being the basket case of the Caribbean. My work is to reverse that. And I do it in various ways with the Free Haiti movement. But before we get to that, we are today in December. It was a December day that the Neanderthal sort of idea of seeing a human being and raping that human being and making that human being a slave started in the land of Haiti. And what you have to understand is that what I teach for the Free Haiti movement and the Haitian Lawyers Leadership is that at Bois Caïman, there were three different, a call. And so we teach the call as a strategy for the destruction of white supremacy. And we teach the call, and we teach what the Haitian Revolution left us as a template. And so to even begin to talk wherever I am, I say, E Mabamba, Kanga Mandele, Kanga Bafioti, Kanga Najoki, Kanga Yo. It's in the Kinkongo language. Your audience already knows that the Africans they brought to Haiti were worked to death. And the level of their lifespan was from 3 to 6 years. They were worked to death. And at Bois Caïman, when the revolution started, the template was that we had to get rid of the white colonists, his black collaborators, and his evil forces. That's Mandele, colonists, but really what it literally means in the Kinkongo language is the stranger amongst us. The collaborators and the Najoki. At that point in time, their Najoker, their evil forces was their military, their religion, their media, their missionaries, you can bring it up to what people understand as Neely Fuller's 9 areas of activity. Because I work on this ground and I face the white saviors every day, besides the media that maintains this imagery of Black folks, the issues of my children, this image to criminalize them in order to dehumanize them, in order to make it possible that no one pays attention when they're incarcerated and dead or taken down as a dictator. So we go straight after that media narrative in the Free Haiti movement. And we reversed it because that's exactly what Jean-Jacques Dessalines did for the word Black. Because after the revolution was over, our first constitution, 1805 constitution, I urge everyone to read it. It wasn't a copy and paste of European ideas of governance, because their governance is about bourgeois democracy. It's about the plutocrats, the wealthy, using the masses to accumulate wealth and power. That wasn't what the Haitian Revolution wanted to institute. So we teach that Dessalines said no to bourgeois democracy. And bourgeois democracy is when ultimate wealth, a lot of wealth, unlimited wealth, unlimited beauty, unlimited leisure, unlimited prosperity and health and wealth lives in the same space as genocide, rape, the Dixieland model. So you can imagine Gone with the Wind. That's how I imagine bourgeois democracy, where you're in a space where people are dancing and having a good time, and then they're sneaking off to the cabins to rape a 13-year-old girl. That's where unlimited wealth and supposedly beauty and access lives in the same space, and no one sees it. Or when you, like, for instance, I'm a New York lawyer, and I used to go up to the Trump Towers, and just like beautiful, all kinds of just gold. And then you go downstairs, and there's a person homeless on a bench and no one sees it. Everybody's walking by. So that's European way of being. They can do that because they live inside. They will live with all that unlimited wealth, and just put a gate around it, and then outside, the masses are just suffering in a most horrible manner. This is what the Haitians said no to. We said no to this kind of work. We are as strong as the weakest link in our community. We are as strong as the weakest child, and our job is to nurture that child. That's why Vodun is a way of life. It's a way of we come into the world we come into the world fragmented by nature, because we are spirit and flesh at the same time. And Vodun is about connecting spirit and flesh together so that you can live in harmony. But the European, his whole idea of interaction in the world is not about that personal mission that we have when we come into the world, which is to know what our soul came to do, and to connect it with the vessel that we've been put into. But not doing that, the European is all about using your labor and all your resources, privatizing it for the few. And that is their world, and that is the world that Haiti says no to. And that is the world I still say, we're saying no to at the Free Haiti Movement. And so when we look at where we need to be as a Black community today, we teach that our culture is our sword. It is the clothes that we wear. It is what, history has not been written yet. History of Black people has not been written yet. I know this because what I learned in school, and then what I have learned at home from my Vodouist father, and what I have learned as a warrior on the ground, working through 2 US coups d'etats, is that these people are not human. These people are not what I am. And that's what I have learned. I will never write "there is one human race" ever in my life again. I have said that 10 years ago. But I have been on the ground as a soldier for 14 years now, since 2004. And I bring with me Dessalines' ideas, right? We have looked at the Haitian Revolution. We have looked at the 1804 Constitution. We have looked at the words left to us by Jean-Jacques Dessalines, the greatest soldier and hero, bar none, to us on planet Earth. And he left us a template. And that template is a template that helped us win this our freedom, and give dignity to the whole race of African phenotype people on this planet, and the Blacks, the ancient Blacks who were on this planet before the European ever came on this planet. Mm-hmm. So, because it's December, we go back to December 5th, 1492. And it's really important for us to understand, where are we as a Black people? The things that I didn't know. right? I never learned that there were Africans in Haiti when the Europeans got there. Never knew that. There were. I never knew that there is Haiti has the most riches in terms of the most cave arts. We are a land that has a lot of mountains. And so let's talk about what did Haiti look like before this Holocaust that we're living right now. So we're December 5th, 1492 is when Christopher Columbus got there with his 3 ships. And he put together the Fort Navidad with 39 soldiers, and he left them there. But when the Africans and the Tainos realized what these Europeans were doing at this fort, they were gathering people, raping people, stealing. They went in and they destroyed Fort Navidad. And I say their names because they were Haiti, they were Haitian. And we teach 3 principles of Dessalines. The first one is all Haitians shall be known by the appellation Black. And that did not mean just skin color. That did not mean just folks that came from Africa. Dessalines was taught by a Dahomean soldier by the name of Grand Toya. Abarataya Toya is her name. They had been fighting in Africa, the white invaders. They understood that Africans had been coming back and forth to the Americas for a long time. Haiti is 1 billion years old. The landmass that we call Haiti, along with Cuba, is over 1 billion years old. Like I said, the European tells you he's been on this planet 6,000 to 12,000 years ago. We're talking about a space that's over 1 billion years old. And we have evidence of a rock. It's called Wash Harlene, Harlene. It's in the north of Haiti. It has inscription in it going back from 35 to 100 million years ago. Inscription made by some sentient being. And the Haitian geologist, scholar who studies this, his name is Daniel Mathurin. And then we have these riches in Haiti. So when we at the Free Haiti Movement are talking about Haiti, we are reversing everything that the European is putting out about Haiti. Number one, Haiti's 3 ideals is that Black is not just, so in the Constitution, the 1805 Constitution, Dessalines said that all Haitians, Haitiens, A-Y-I-T-I, Haiti, Haitien, shall be known by the appellation Black. Now I'm going to say Haiti at Haiti, right? Because sounds really matter. They lift up a particular vibration. So Haiti is the name for the island that I come from and I was born in. In the Fon African word, Haiti means land, earth. T means my land. When the Africans got to Haiti, they not only recognized the name that they had given the island, that they recognized the language, Haiti. So Haiti is both a Meridian word from the Mongolian folks that mixed with the Blacks that they found there, and it is an African word. So Haitians will sometimes say Haiti Toma. It means my sacred highland. So there's a lot for us to understand and to know. So the word Haiti means my sacred highland. There are 2 other names that were used for this island. It was called Bohikio, and it was also called Quisqueya. And each of those names sort of mirror the word Haiti, because Bohikyo and, Boyo and Kiskeya also means, Kiskeya means mother of the earth. How did this particular land, why was it called mother of the earth? Why was it called my land? And why did the Africans who were put in slavery, who came to this land, understood this land and felt that they knew this language? These are all questions that we must understand and we must talk, we must deal with as Black scholars and folks who are interested in why we're here on this, in this time, in this realm, in this portal. So first, there were about 100 or so white folks that Napoleon, he was on his rampage to take over Europe at the time of the Haitian Revolution. And he had conscripted these Polish soldiers and other soldiers. And so you have these soldiers, when they got to Haiti, they joined the Africans and fought with the African warriors against the enslavers. When we got our independence, Dessalines said, since you all fought with us, you will be Haitian, and you will have all the rights of a Haitian, right? Of a Haitian. And you will also be known as Black. So this is so important because Black is a award you get. You get this award because you have stood up for liberty. And that's how Dessalines thought about the word Black, because he did not want coloreds, mulatto, quadroons, and all the gradations that the Europeans mixed, all of that. He says, all Haitian, including the whites, and this is in writing, and you all can just Google the 1805 Haitian Constitution. So, all Haitians shall be known by the appellation Black, and I think it's also because the way we fought that war was using ancient techniques and being inside the mountains. Haiti has the oldest cave arts in the Caribbean, the oldest cave collection of cave art. And I'm always challenging and actually almost begging African scholars to don't leave this to being translated by our occupiers, but go to Haiti, take a delegation, and take pictures of this cave art, because it is our history, and it is our history written by those who we know, who are part of who we are. The second Dessalines ideal is that it's in contrast to Toussaint Louverture. Toussaint Louverture was the first general. He was the guy that put together the organizational part of the army, and he was tricked by the Europeans and then captured, and he died in France. But he essentially stood for Black ruled French colony. He wanted Haiti to be without slavery, but he would rule it as a colony for France. Black ruled French colony. That's what Toussaint Louverture stands for. This is not what we stand for, right? The Haitian, and that's one of the reasons Toussaint Louverture didn't find too much assistance when the French was taking him out of there, because the indigenous barefoot Haitians, they wanted freedom, period, their primitive dignity back. They did not want to be a colony of France. So Dessalines, this is the idea that every Black person wants today. And if they don't know it, this is what we articulate for them. We want to be free. Dessalines stood for Black ruled independent country. Today, the last few remaining African leaders who are still fighting white supremacy from the decolonization is you know, Mugabe, they just took out. Eritrea is kind of still holding on, but there's that problem with Ethiopia and what we're talking about there. So all of the 53 African nations right now, most of them are Negroes that have taken on the Toussaint Louverture neo-colonialism, right? Toussaint Louverture is about, he was a great general. He fought against slavery, but he was about ruling on behalf of France. Today, that's what you have to understand very quickly about the 53 African nations and the 15 Caribbean leaders, because there's 15 Caribbean islands, right? Mm-hmm. Even though Haiti makes 60% of the populations of CARICOM, that's the regional organization for the 15 islands, we are still discriminated because we are an all-Black nation and we do not have a white European country motherland. Every single one of the other 14 Caribbean nations do. So we stand in the middle of this hostile American Mediterranean, where even folks in the Bahamas and folks right there in Dominican Republic, they're all coming after us. So that's why today there is a UN occupation in Haiti that started after they took out President Aristide in 2004. And in that UN occupation, there was 11 Latin American countries, the same type of countries that people are talking about being socialist and equitable or running for equity. We have no friends, as Dr. Henry Clark says. I want people to critically understand, because you know we've been alone. We've been fighting the white saviors, their plunder and pillage in Haiti for 14 years. I have been doing it for 14 years. And before that, that makes it 24 with the Haitian Lawyers Leadership Network. I went back to Haiti the first time in 1994 as a lawyer, as you said. So that's where we are right now. We teach the 3 ideals of Dessalines, that our goal as a people is to be independent, free, and Black, and with our culture, which is lovers of liberty, which is what in our Constitution, Black meant, because white folks who acted human and fought for freedom with the Africans were considered Black. Mm-hmm. 2, Black ruled independent country. And then the 3rd, I always say it's really important. That's why I always remember in December, because we have a duty to remember our fallen, because we are the people of the ancestors, right? Vodun is about lifting up the ancestors, right? And ancestors has a meaning beyond just your biological, because we are part of the biosphere. We are part of the cosmos. And so as part of the cosmos, our duty as the parents of this planet is to keep it in harmony, because at the ultimate of what we are, it's vibration. Mm-hmm. And so at the ultimate of that vibration, Vodun is a system whereby our ancestors, having lived on this planet for millions of years, or if you look at modern history, they're going back 400,000 years or something like that. But we can say in Haiti, we have inscriptions that go back 33 million years. So in those times, there has been something codified. And of course, you know, the Abrahamic religions took everything from our way of being, codified it in order to dominate people, in order to colonize our minds. So we teach the 3 ideals of Dessalines to make it very simple. Every Haitian, everyone shall be known by the appellation Black, and then the country was called Haiti, because he chose not to take the name of a European space or a French name of anything. He went back to Haiti because, like I said, it's both an African word. It means mother of the earth. It means sacred homeland. And he wanted to lift that up. And he also understood that the Black nation, which means the illuminated ones, went back to the beginning of time. Depuis les Marassa, les morts, et les mystères. In Haitian cosmology, we go back to the original twin, in breath, out breath, up, down, the yang and the yang, the contraction and release, the original movement, right, of Dantò, Ogu, that came about to make the third, right? And so as I sit here and this December day, I remember Anakauna, Queen Anakauna, who took up arms against Columbus's rapists and pedophiles, because I'm dealing with it right now, right? If you go in the news, you put Haiti pedophile, you see that this week they caught James Arbaugh, who was in Haiti between 10 and 15 years, and he had molested 21 boys. This is something they've been doing since 1492. And so we have to understand that they, as Neely Fuller says, they used sex, especially the Jesuits, the Catholics, and these Abrahamic religion people, to take the soul of a young boy, cause that confusion of malehood, and traumatize that person. So it's not about pleasure, it's about domination. And that stuff has been going on for a long time. And though we are the Black folks who did beat these Europeans, and we keep continuing to beat them, we don't get the press. So that's why it's so important that I love Professor Kaba's work. I love your work, because we need to fill that space of Njoki, right? Njoki, as I said, you know, for me today, it's the same thing as my ancestors saw at Bois-Caïman. Njoki was the military, everything they do. Today, you can add their medicine, their way of healing, their drugs, their weapons, their human rights organizations. I mean, if you look at what they did to Aristide in 2004, it was the U.S. Human Rights Organization that went about saying he was a dictator in order so that no one would look while they were taking him down. It's the same human rights organizations that will tell you all this thing about Mugabe, right? As opposed to the fact that the European had signed a contract to pay off the white farmers, right? But their media is not going to elevate their lack of honor. They will keep elevating the lack of honor of our people. I mean, today, Laurent Gbagbo from the Ivory Coast is standing in front of the International Criminal Court. For what? Because he said to France, I am tired of paying you 50, 60% of my gross national product because I'm supposed to be free, right? So they took him down. So that's another Njoki, right? They use law, politics, military, economics, labor. These are their Njoki. And our job is to create a different world, reset. First, we have to understand our line goes back to the beginning of time. That in this realm that we're living in, we have to go inside and we have to call on the strength, vision of the ancestors. And it doesn't matter that you don't have weapons, because Africans don't make weapons. And this is important to understand. We don't make weapons. The Haitians didn't make the weapons that they used to kill the Europeans. And so it's not in our nature. First, we have to understand our nature. So those are the things I teach. I teach the three ideas of Dessalines, the call of the Bois-Caïman call, why we don't do bourgeois democracy, and where we are today. Today, Haiti has that asteroid that fell on Haiti something like 66 million years ago and broke up Pangea, right? So here we are. There was a point in time in the universe where there was one landmass, right? That asteroid that fell it didn't just fall on Haiti. Actually fell on, which is interesting and important, South Africa. But when it fell here, the remains of that is called iridium. And the Europeans are in Haiti right now because they know we have mountains of iridium. 1 ton of iridium is worth $45 billion. And I'm going to give you the reference for that. So those who wants to check it out, it's Professor Vixamar, Henry Vixamar. You could see him talking about it in a program called Le Point. He's about 95 years old. He's also worked and lived in South Africa, so he was able to teach me, for instance, the importance of this iridium. Iridium is used in spacecrafts. Mm-hmm. You better believe that the Europeans have been up using our iridium to go on space. What they have found, I promise you, is why you see right now they're trying to somehow come through the Black woman's body to make as if they were something different than what they are. Mm-hmm. We have to understand this as we look at, these Negroes running around talking about, what's her name? The young woman who just is marrying into the House of Windsor, as if somehow that makes her Black. Black is an action. It's not these individual choices that people make. Black is when you stand, I give you your Black card when you stand for the collective, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. not the personal.
Mm-hmm. Love that.
And so that's what we teach. So we're in a position where since 2004, we have an occupation, and that occupation is masked by a UN a humanitarian mission, the same sort of UN humanitarian mission they had used as a template in Bosnia. So if they're doing it to their own white people, imagine what they're doing to you. Mm-hmm. Right? Remember, Yugoslavia was a country. Bill Clinton and them went in there to give them human rights, and Yugoslavia no longer exists.
Mm-hmm. Well, all right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, when I said we need to bring a revolutionary on, I wasn't playing. I just got a lesson that you're not going to learn this in school. You're not going to learn this at any institution. You're only going to learn this here with people who have been on the ground and are currently on the ground. And I absolutely, I was sitting here and I'm saying to myself, this is one of the most important moments of my life, one of the most important moments of my history as an interviewer, because I am learning about aspects of my people, even though I know a lot, and I know a lot of historians and scholars, but it's nothing like hearing it from, as they say, the mouths of babes, from the original source, teaching your history, connecting your history, and not just making you feel good about being Black, but giving you the historical relevance and reference and context of why we are Black people and why we are one under IAT. Professor Kaba, there's a lot for you to unpack that I'm going to ask you to do, and I know only you can do it, which is why I teamed y'all two up on this show. Because Èzili gave a lot in terms of the nature and the character of what we now describe as a Eurasian, but went a step further in using the term kind of a Neanderthal and saying that there's aspects of these people, and I distinctly remember her saying those who acted human, were considered by Dessalines as Black. They were included into the family. Very important words of distinction as it relates to there's a faction or factor of the Eurasian that you have been on the show, I've lost count how many times, as well as in your illustrious 40+ year career, talked about the southern and northern cradle of what Cheikh Anta Diop set as the foundation for us in terms of the human family and the origin of the human family. But there's another factor or faction of this sick human, not a non-human, that can go into a black melanated African continent and rape children, divide and conquer, and create an entire system of debauchery under the title of democracy. This is not our ancient history. This is the history that we're living right now. And I think what is important that Sister Dantò is giving us is not just historical relevance, but context of what is happening in the history that we are writing right now. If we don't stand up and do something, if we do not take action, we are complicit to what is happening and what has happened, and will be part and will be written off as non-black, if you will, because we're not part of this revolutionary understanding that is happening right now and today. So I'm giving you a lot, setting a lot for you, Professor, but I know you can take this ball and you can roll with it. So come to us, unpack what Sister Dantò has given us, and then if you could take us to the next level as it relates to the human family, the black family.
Well, look at what's going on today, and you can understand they do it to their own.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important that we open up our eyes. You know, it's happening all around us consistently. It's happening even to this day as we watch what's happening now. The unfortunate thing for them is that their time is up. And this cannot continue. This action cannot continue. The idea of black, you know, the word black, the idea of the cosmos, the idea of melanin, the idea of carbon, the idea of the living system that carbon creates, the blackness, the idea of the words that we use to, you know, to understand. And also, it's also important to understand that the origins of the words that we use in our alphabet, such as the Greek alphabet, we know now are African. That, in fact, the Medunetta that is written on the Rosetta Stone, they claim that the last one that allowed them to be able to crack the code was classical Greek. But it's not classical Greek. It's another form of an African script that the Greeks adopted. So even when we're writing our ABCs, we're still writing an African script. The other piece that I found very important was the concept of sound and language. Nature was our first teacher. Nature taught us how to speak. And the 4 levels, when I was teaching children in early childhood, literacy, whether it is numeric literacy or alphabetic abilities to write, literacy.
Mm-hmm.
Literacy really is just the ability to unfold the communication skills. Literacy. It's the ability to decode symbols. So that when you're dealing with teaching our children, my first step in, everybody's trying to push reading, but the first step in literacy is listening. So the very early African peoples on this planet, no matter how many million years ago we go, the first teacher was nature all around them. And so in nature teaching us, we then understood that nature was the very force that animated us as a people. And so the sounds that we make when you say Haiti, there is a certain, you talk about frequency,
Mm-hmm.
we talk about vibration. I've got a book right here that a brother just gave me in Detroit. He was listening to my presentation and he came back the second day and he gave me this book called Morphic Resonance, written by Rupert Sheldrake. I personally had never heard of the brother before, but it talks about the importance of the new way that we are educating ourselves, which is going back to what our sister is saying. The sounds that we make create a frequency. The words that we use are more than just what we think they are. Even hip hop, when they talk about beats, goes back to these concepts of, you know, okay, the words that they may use as it relates to the English language and the way in which we interpret those words that we call curse words or bad words, okay? What the young people have done is that they have put aside that entire concept of bad words and created beats, which are vibrations or they are frequencies. Now, we may not like what we hear, and I understand the subliminal messages on one level, but what I'm saying is that sound becomes very important. And African people have got to start to pick up sounds. We have to go back to phonons. We have to go back to understanding that we have to start to listen. The second step after listening is speaking. The third step then is decoding or reading, and the fourth is writing. But we learned this from nature. Nature taught us, so that when Sister is speaking of the inscriptions that are carved in Haiti, even Dr. Van Sertima talks about the inscriptions in his books. When someone tells a perfect lie, the truth is unbelievable. And I realize in going and teaching and talking to folk, you know, cognitive dissonance, you know, folk get cognitive dissonance. When we're talking about the ancientness of the human family of African people, folk can't get over that because they've bought into this idea of 1492. They've bought into this idea of the Bering Strait. Whereas we have people such as Dr. David Imhotep and Dr. Ivan Van Sertima and others who have got another brilliant scholar talking about the presence of not just Africans in America, but Africans on the planet existing millions of years before anyone else was here.
That's right. That's right.
This is a reality that we're facing.
We just had Professor Menu Ampim on talking about the exact same thing in his work in Nubia and Kush.
Exactly. And this is the conceptual framework that we all have to begin to look at and to understand. Another piece that I think is extremely important is the system of economics that came out of the revolution in Haiti. And one of the things that I teach our children is to understand the difference between the world we're living in dealing with politics and economics. See, we get that confused. Political systems and economic systems in the world we're living in today. Political systems, basically, you call democracy, if you want to call it that. We're just going to call it that for now, because I understand the limitations. You have the idea of a democracy as it relates, and then you have the political system known as communism. You then have an economic system known as capitalism, and an economic system known as socialism. So people talk about democracy and socialism. You can't do that. That's mixing apples and oranges. The political systems are democracy and communism. The economic systems are capitalism and socialism. What I understand coming out of the revolution, number two, that Sister teaches, is the idea of, you know, again, when you look at the world that they live in, such as Trump Tower. And it was an interesting story because it is true. And for those of you who don't know New York and you don't know the geographic location, I'm from New York, so I know it very well. Trump Tower is located 58th Street, 5th Avenue, okay? A rather ritzy area of New York, okay. A few years back, there was a brother that was blind that had a dog that used to stand, and it's near Central Park. It's a few blocks from Central Park. There was a brother that used to stand on 57th Street and 5th Avenue. Now, you can check the story out if you want to, because it was in the news. There was a brother that was asking for money. He was blind, and he had a dog. And a car came careening down the street and hit the man and the dog. When the ambulances came, they took the dog first and left the man on the sidewalk. And then, of course, the ambulance came, picked up the man too. So I don't want to stretch it. But the other point is that the societies for animals took the dog from the man and told them that the man had put the dog in dangerous way.
Wow.
Now when you stop and think, a seeing-eye dog is supposed to, because the man is blind, he didn't see the car coming. That's right outside Trump Tower. That's near Trump Tower. So when she talks about when you go out of Trump Tower in its gold-laden form, the building, you can walk out into poverty. In fact, Central Park, which the southern eastern section is right there on Fifth Avenue, you will see people in blankets that have no homes.
Mm-hmm.
But then now historically go back to feudalism in Europe. And that's the way feudalism was. You had the lord and you had the serf. It's the same exact thing. And so what we're looking at now is a system. And now when you look at what's happening in the United States and what people are trying to pass different tax, so-called, whatever they want to call that. And, it's all going to the rich and not taken away from children, the CHIP program that fed children health, the children's health insurance program. When you look at what we have to do as a black folk is we have to understand who we're dealing with. And we're dealing with a person whose soul is behind ice and that they really have no conscience. And we have to get ourselves together and we have to understand what time it is. And we have to study our history. We have to understand who we are. We have to understand what we can do. We have to go back before a time that they existed to understand what we did in order for us to do it again. Mm. And the last thing that I'd like to pick up that Sister spoke about was Neely Fuller's work. And I'd like to talk about briefly just to introduce the 9 areas. I remember Minister Farrakhan a few Savior days ago had recommended that we start to create ministries in our community, start to create, and see, ministry is a concept of a smaller word that comes from a larger word called administer. You see, to be a minister, you administer to the people. You are in service to the community. Mm-hmm. That's what leadership is. Leadership, you lead by example. I've always appreciated leaders that led by example and didn't delegate authority. Not asking people, you do this, you do that. However, what you do is you say, help me do this and help me do that. And that is what the success of the revolution in Haiti was. All the generals was on the front line. And everybody had a part, male and female, mm-hmm. understanding what this took to make happen. And so what I look at in terms of these areas where they do attack us, I've added 1. So I have 10. But Neely Fuller in his book, The Compensatory Code of White Supremacy. In fact, Neely Fuller says that if you're talking about a problem and you're not talking about white supremacy, you ain't talking about the problem. Mm. Mm-hmm. Because when you look around the world, all of these problems come. And again, I don't use the word white supremacy, so to speak. I use the term white fragility because these folk are fragile. These folk are ice age fragile people. And the more guns they have, the more fear they have. Mm-hmm. The angrier they get, the more fear they have, the more inferior they feel, mm-hmm. the more insecure they are of who they are as human beings. And it goes back to Francis Cress Welsing's concept of genetic annihilation. Mm-hmm. There was a time they were not here, and there's coming a time when they will not be here. And that's another reason why they must search for the African woman's womb to plant their seed. I call it the Robert De Niro effect. Mm-hmm. Because he knows his future will only exist within the womb of an African woman, of a melanated woman. So Neely Fuller talks about religion. They attack us in religion. They attack us in economics. They attack us in labor, the ability to hire our own. They attack us in gender issues. He calls it sex. I'm careful of the word sex because sometimes people, that's too small an area. We're talking about gender issues. But I do understand what he means by sex, but I just choose to use the word gender issues. Neely Fuller identifies education, and he identifies law. Security or war, the ability to defend yourself, to protect yourself, because you can have everything you want in the world, but if you don't have a sense to defend it, then it's like it belongs to anybody who can grab it. Entertainment, we have to look at our entertainment areas, and politics. And I've added the 10th area that I call health, because that's another area where they attack us. And so in these 10 areas, these are the areas that as human beings, if somebody wants to oppress you, they begin to take over these areas. And as Sheikh Anta Diop said, when somebody wants to attack you, there are 3 things they will take from you. They will take your history, they'll take your language, and they'll take your psychological factor. Your psychological factor is what Dr. Leonard Jeffries calls your values, your interests, and your principles. And after they take those things from you, they then superimpose their history, their language, their values, interests, and principles. And what happens is that that person that loses their history and language and psychological factor, quite frankly, whatever decision they come to in life, and I think this might be one of the big differences between Toussaint Louverture and Jean-Jacques Dessalines, is the fact that Toussaint somehow wanted to live in an Africanness, but with a European agenda. Dessalines say, oh no, we're going to be black and independent. And so when we're looking at these different concepts as it relate, and that's how they could take Toussaint out. And they couldn't take Dessalines because Dessalines was rooted in his Africanness. He was rooted in his personhood. He was rooted in his history, his language, his values, interests, and principles. When you are rooted and grounded in that, nobody can take anything from you, because power, as Dr. Wade Nobles teaches us, author of the book, The Island of Memes, The Unfinished Haitian Revolution, power is the ability to define someone's reality and have that person accept definition as if, and for as long as we allow other people to define who we are and to limit us as it relates to, and one of the questions, interesting, that Tariq asked me when we did 1804 was, he said, can you respond to the fact that as an African American, as an African in America, why would the Haitian Revolution be important to you? And until we as a people understand the fact that we are all related, it makes no difference if you speak French or English or Dutch or Spanish. Once we get ourselves together and we understand through, and I understand nationalism, and there should be nationalism. People from Haiti should be proud to be from Haiti. People from Puerto Rico should be proud to be from Puerto Rico. People from the United States should be proud. But at some point, we all have to unite through Pan-Africanism and come together and understand that this struggle is a unified struggle of African people worldwide. And the enemy, as it relates to the fact that there were Polish and other peoples of European descent who were accepted within Haiti as human beings, it is also very obvious that we have to understand exactly who we are as a people, because this struggle is a cosmic struggle. This is a fight against nature, because everything they touch, they being those who would wish to oppress, they destroy it all. And they have no morals. And again, if you go back to Dr. Edwin Nichols, if you go back to your interviews with the other people, my brother Philippe, that you've had on the program that have spoken about these axiologies, such as Dr. Joy Degree and others. You know, they will lay out the entire story that we're talking about, and that we've got to get together, and we've got to do it on our own. As Sister Dantò said, Dr. Clark, go on YouTube and look up Dr. Clark's presentation. You have no friend.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we should have a mantra that every morning we get up, we say, if it is to be, it's up to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Appreciate that. Thank you for that, Professor. Being I guess, a revolutionary in embryo, if you will, I respect the art of filmmaking. I respect the art of documenting, being a documentarian, and I respect being able to bring brilliant minds together in a phenomenal film that needed to be told, needed to be done. But also, just as a and I call myself a pseudo journalist because I'm not trained as a journalist, but there are aspects of our history, and I was having this conversation with Professor Manu Ampum, who's getting ready to become a part of our network, and he's going to be a part of our wisdom school that we're going to be launching, and he's going to kind of be my Anderson 360, my AC 360, keeping us honest in terms of how we do primary research and not just take everything that we see at face value, even if it's coming from us, that we're able to dig deeper and get to the original sources of information. And so there were some things that happened in the film that I have had conversations with people offline that I wanted to address with Sister Dantò, particularly as it relates to IAT and what she calls colonial celebrity in this current day and age that we are living in. And not mentioning any names, but she used a term called international coons, and you and I, Professor, have done shows on coonery, coonism, those who betray their own race, those who are caught up between trying to uphold some sense of Africana under the umbrella of white supremacy, which is impossible to do. It's impossible to do. So, Sister Èzili, I want you to go there because you don't get a lot of opportunities to go there and to be able to speak freely about what we call colonial celebrity and international coons and the exploitation of IAT in terms of how the narrative is that, you know, this is a poor country, it has no resources. And so the question then would be, if that is the case, why would Bill Gates have land there? Why are billionaires buying up land in IAT? And why do we have some of these celebrities who are from IAT, in a sense, exploiting the very system that we're trying to bring light to and trying to destroy so that we can be, once again, Black people? Sister Èzili.
Thank you for asking me that question. It takes a lot of courage. Philip, you went there.
I'm a badass, baby.
I can't believe
Don't ever get it twisted. Don't ever get it twisted. I am for my people, for us, by us. Don't ever get it twisted.
I can't believe you went there.
I did.
Much.
And I did it very well, though, didn't I? I didn't mention the name or nothing, did I? Just said, well, you know, based upon, I love the film and everything, but there's a few things.
All right, you didn't. That's what I do, okay? I do name the names because I think it's critically important. We as Black people have got to stop being lawyers. You know, the only way we're going to get out of this is through discipline, having a straight line about what levels of activities do to us. Mm-hmm. I've worked in two of those areas that Neely Fuller talks about. And so I fall into the gender sex thing right there with regards to patriarchy. But I have worked as a lawyer 30 years. I have worked in the entertainment industry. So I've done both specific spaces, entertainment and law. Entertainment industry in 1996, because as a entertainment lawyer, I was putting on the market for these plantations because the music industry is an apartheid industry. Voices like me drowned out by the mammies and they had taken the white supremacy after the civil rights movement, used a certain group of Blacks, not about what the 60s movement had been about, personal gain. They brought them into the corporatocracy. They took a few stars and said, oh, you masses of Black people, if you can't be like Oprah, if you can't be like Dr. Dre, if you can't be like Michael Jordan, it's because of or you can't be Bill Cosby, it's because you did not lift yourself, or if you can't be Barack Obama, you did not lift yourself up by your bootstraps.
Mm-hmm. You didn't work hard enough.
Yes.
Right, which is bullshit.
Yes. American violence, Western violence is institutionalized. We can't move individually. We've got to move collectively because they've institutionalized the violence against us. Mm-hmm. So in my time as an entertainment attorney, I started out, as you said, originally as an artist. Before I was a lawyer, I was always an artist. And when I was a lawyer, I was still an artist. I have to do both sides of my brains in order to actually function in the world. But in that space, I knew, it was called the Fugees right then. I knew the artist, the one that shows up in 1804, because also because he's Haitian. I knew what that industry, why I had to leave that industry. And I left right essentially after the death of Tupac and Biggie. Mm-hmm. Before then, you could see what the CIA was doing. I was a student of history. I had studied Black music. I knew that jazz came out of Haiti and the Vodun drum. I was raised off of the Vodun drums. I was raised as a dancer. I know what movements mean with respect to mimicking nature. So when I found out that my job was to put on the plantation young Black artists who all their economic interests would be taken, a tiny little percentage, and then the music started to be about the criminalization of the Black community, the criminalization of Black males, the glorification of criminality, and the glorification of the drugs that the CIA was dumping into our communities. We make neither drugs nor the weapons. And I went to some of my clients, very famous people. I took the Last Poets because I was a student and I saw what their trajectory. I was always into message music because I'm a poet. So I was representing message music. And there was a point in time at the very beginning when that's what hip hop was. It was what our young folks, my generation, could use to express what their lives, but that was quickly being destroyed. They not only destroyed R&B with Prince and he was what he was doing, they destroyed us. What, to me, that was the height of hip hop, Fear of a Black Planet. It was destroyed.
We're having some technical difficulties with sound. I don't know if that is because of manual interruption or if it's just the ethers. But if you could repeat that last part, because I really want people to get that.
Okay, I was saying that what I loved about hip hop at that time in my generation was which came out of Franz Cresswell Sling's book. And I loved the message of liberation. So for me, that's how I am as an artist. And that's what I wanted to represent and elevate, including our economic wealth. As you know, economic development is war in the white fragility system, as Dr. Kaba calls it. So in this profit over people system, economic development is war. States at the end of the 80s and 70s, what they did to music, Jewish organizations, a particular type of sound, a particular type of message. It had nothing to do with what my community was about. To do with who we were, but it is what a few people put out, and so what we have then are people, Black celebrities who are created to destroy the Black masses, and then you have these males, these Black males, who are in economic deprivation. And they see this one Black male who has made it, and it doesn't matter that our youths are killing each other to buy a Michael Jordan sneaker. Michael Jordan could care less. So we focus of our males as these gladiators, like we're back into the times of the Christian gladiators, right? I think we need to have more standards for these Black males, because you can see it right now. Look at Oprah. She just sold a portion of actually she sold the company, but she was supposed to be the first Black female billionaire. And that we were hit over the head. I was hit over the head with these women my whole entire trajectory as a lawyer, because these were the women that were elevated by the society. And what were they doing? Were they doing anything? I mean, Phil Donahue did more by bringing in a diversity of Black folks to talk about Black life than Oprah did. I am not into the mammies, the house Negroes, or any colonial celebrityism that is not about understanding that art is the closest you, when it's real, it's the closest you can get to the soul, because the soul doesn't speak. The soul comes through music, comes to movement, and so we are a soulful people. So the use of when in 2004 they brought in the UN, they also brought in Wyclef Jean. They also brought in Sean Penn. These are colonial celebrities, folks with no expertise in what colonialism is about, folks with no expertise on what the NGOs do.
What the agenda is.
And exactly. NGOs means non-governmental organization. They are the new missionaries that are used to mask occupation. And they come in with the United Nations. And the United Nations, let me say it right here, right now, is a criminal organization from Lumumba to Aristide. They are part of the World War II security, Eurasian powers who won World War II. There's 193 nations there, and 5 nations have veto power over 193. And they want to tell you that the United Nations is going to come to give Haiti democracy when they're the most undemocratic organization on the planet, right? So as warriors, our first agenda, and when the UN falls, I want someone to say my name even when I'm gone, because I live to take down the UN. The UN needs to go the way of the League of Nations. It only elevates the Western narrative, but it has a lot of colonized Negroes and colonized countries whose people, the CIA and those types of intelligence folks have groomed, like a sexual predator grooms the person, his victim. The U.S. and the deep state grooms the folks that are working at the UN. They only have one narrative, and their narrative is this: Haiti is poor, Haitians are violent, they have come to give us development. Okay? We say Haiti is the least violent country, one of the least violent countries in the Western Hemisphere. Washington, D.C. is more violent than us. Bahamas is more violent than us. Jamaica is more violent than us. Dominican Republic, which they're always comparing us with, is almost 2 times more violent than us. And we used to be less violent when they were not there. Every time, the longer the white folks stay in Haiti, the more violent the Haitians become, because they are about, their idea of development is what they call tourism. And tourism for them is when Westerners make us props in our own land. Tourism for the white man is economic development for him, because he is actually going to take over land to create these apartheid spaces where people live behind these high walls, have swimming pools and shrimp and lobster, and then Haitians come in as props and put on voodoo dresses and perform for them, right? And then outside, there's like extreme poverty, right? That's development for him. But his idea of tourism is prostitution, it's drugs, pedophilia, homosexuality, and taking over and making us their semen receptacles. So that's why when they came in, Haiti has an economic system, right? But when they brought in Wyclef Jean and Sean Penn, actually they brought in Wyclef Jean first. They brought in Sean Penn after the earthquake in 2010. So, but what folks have to understand, which they don't understand, is this, okay? And I'm just going to take, I'm going to take this and say that because someone might please us as an artist, because we might, maybe rock to, Killing Me Softly with his song, that he had done with Score when Lauryn Hill was on. Because of that, we might think for some reason that this guy knows what he's doing, or that the Clintons are not using him, but they did use him, right? Because the movement against dictatorship, which was Lavalas, when they took Aristide out, I was the lawyer working to take out, to help the warriors that were on the ground who actually took up arms against the United Nations, right? So I represented real Black warriors, Black males who lost their lives, right? I'm gonna say his name. He's the hero of the 21st century. His name is Emmanuel Dread Wilmer. For 17 months, he fought off these greatest armies who came in 2004. They killed him on July 6, 2005. Wyclef Jean was one of those colonial celebrityism who was used to say that these people were thugs. They were not community leaders. They were gangs. And with these guys saying these guys were gangs, right? The UN has the media to go in and shoot up these folks saying, you can't come into Cité Soleil and kill me. I've never left my city. Why are you here? I want Aristide back. That's what those young men were saying. They want their democratically elected government back, right? Wyclef Jean came in with his uncle. His uncle became the U.S. ambassador, illegal, of course, because he wasn't elected. The U.S. wasn't elected to run Haiti, and so his uncle, Ray Joseph, is a Duvalieres, known Duvalieres, and so he came in with that. So that's why I say that white supremacy uses our icons in a manner to lull the people into not looking at what's going on. I mean, as much as I love Muhammad Ali, they used him too, right? Sure. As much as I love Muhammad Ali, what you have to remember is this guy's with Mobutu. He went and did the big what is it? I forgot the name of the boxing thing. Not Manila, but I don't know.
Rumble in the Jungle.
Yeah, he went there and did that, but that was Mobutu. Mobutu had killed Patrice Lumumba, right? So not understanding there's a resistance on the ground, and you have all these black people who've come to legitimize Mobutu by coming to an event of Muhammad Ali. You understand? So it's the same way, right? Folks may not understand because so the rest of Hollywood, seeing that Wyclef Jean is not perturbed about this bicentennial coup d'etat, is also going to come with their nice friends. So he brought in Brad Pitt and his wife and all of them, right? And here I am with the rest of the resistance, standing on trying to keep our men from getting killed and trying to get the media to say that these men, all they want is democracy. They don't want an occupation in Haiti. And they're not killing anyone. They are being killed. The United States.
They're just saying, get out. That's basically what they're saying. Just get out.
Yes. Between 2004 and 2006, in those 2 years, the occupation forces, along with the Haitian police that they brought in, killed 14 to 20,000 Haitians who fought against this occupation that you have today. Okay, and Wyclef Jean was one of those voices that was given legitimacy to not only the Clintons later on in 2008 under Obama, but the Bush administration. And so here I am in 1804. I've been asked to talk about Haiti, which is what I do. And everything in that, I recommend, notwithstanding my reservation about Wyclef Jean, I recommend everyone see it because Brother Tariq did a good job, except for that. And there are a couple of things I would like to say about what Wyclef Jean said because it's important. He said at the end, in the 1804 movie, that Haiti is corrupt because the people have no education. That's one. He said Haiti is corrupt because we make $1 a day. This is the colonial narrative. He gets that straight from the United States Agency for International Development and the NGOs and the people he hangs out with at the, you have to understand in Haiti, colonialism works with local Blacks. In Haiti, we have the billionaires of the Caribbean. I say their names. Bijou is a Jewish guy. His family comes out of Syria, and they own private ports. So if you send something to Haiti, it will go to the private ports of the Haitian oligarchy. The Haitian oligarchy are these Arab, Jewish guys from Lebanon, Syria. They come from that area of the Middle East, because back in the day when France wanted to come back, they didn't come back as Frenchmen. They came back as these Middle Eastern people. Okay, and France pushed them up. We have to understand that's how right now they also use the South Koreans in that same manner. When the United States wants to take over, like, they'll send them to your community. They'll send the South Koreans. They'll send these Middle Eastern guys, and they give them all sorts of advantages that blacks in the U.S. don't have, but they'll give these Arabs these. So we have to understand how these other so-called minority classes are used against Black folks, whether it's, they even use Haitians against American Blacks. So these are the things we have to understand, right? Because I know for a fact that after the 60s movement, before the 60s movement, Haitians could not move to the United States because of Jim Crow and the apartheid that was so formalized. Afterwards, I remember my mother and her other cohorts. There was a lot of folks. I mean, she wasn't one of the ones, but I know in Chicago, for instance, I have cousins who were recruited by American embassy to come and fill jobs as domestics in Chicago and Greenwich, Connecticut, because they thought you Blacks were too uppity because of the civil rights movement. So they use movement of immigration to keep you down, right? That's why right now, you know, everyone's talking about Obama being, I mean, yes, he's Black because he had a Black father, but does he act Black? No, he does not. He was the CEO for white supremacy. That was his job. And he did worse. He did worse for us than the Bushes and Cheney. As a matter of fact, I say he was Bush and Cheney on steroids, right? So that's how important it is to understand what Black means. Because if you're not acting for the collective and you're hurting the collective, then you're not Black. So so in those two things that Wyclef Jean said in 1804, these are things that we try to debunk, right? So I'm going to tell you, Haiti has an economic system that's not counted by the Bretton Woods organizations, by the IMF, International Monetary Fund, or the World Bank, right? So, or the UN. These are the organizations that were created after colonialism was over in Africa, right? Colonialism is where they come in directly to take over, essentially make you their subjects and take out all your resources, right? Well, they have some neo-colonialism is when they have a Black person doing the same thing and they're still taking out your resources, right? So in Haiti, there is something called I'm using the white man's words just because it's harder to do anything else. It's called our informal economy. So when Wyclef Jean says that Haitians are bound to be corrupt because they only make $1 a day, I want your audience to understand that that is a colonial narrative. If Haitians only there's 13 million Haitians in Haiti. If they counted on making the American dollar to live, they would all be dead. We own the most land in the Caribbean. Haitians are 70% farmers. They live off their land, not off of being wage workers, making $1 a day. That is the colonial narrative. Okay, so my grandmother probably never made $1. She sent all her kids to school. We have land that we've had there since the revolution in 1804. It's called a lakou. A lakou. We in Haiti, we have communal lands. That's why the white man can't take it, right? He's trying to change that right now with Bill Gates and Bill Clinton, right? So I don't know if you all are paying attention to the island Barbuda that just got destroyed by the hurricane, and then I don't know if it's Barbuda or Antigua, but anyways, they had to move everybody from that island and put them in one, right? I think Barbuda and something, Antigua. That was a communally owned space that the corporate folks have wanted forever. They're not letting this is happening right now. Just Google it. They're not letting them come back because these people have been on this island. It's been communally owned and they can't sell it. Well, this is the same way we were in Haiti. So the lakou is a space in my hometown. I come from the south of Haiti, where if I went to Haiti right now, because I am the daughter of so-and-so, they have to give me a little piece of land in that lakou for me to live, because this is our ancestral lands. Okay? That's why the European is in Haiti, to destroy that by bringing in all these NGOs, because in the space where I come from, in the lakou, for 200 years, there probably was never a white person there except the pedophile French priest. Okay? Now they're getting them used to seeing these strangers who supposedly have come to help you. And then sooner or later, some cousin is selling a piece of that property, right? I've already told mines, okay? You sell that lakou, all right? I'm coming over there. So we had lakou, right? So this land that your family, it's a family compound. I think in the 1980s, one Haitian scholar went all around Haiti, and he said there was about 172,000 Haitian lakous. Okay, so I don't know what it is today, but back in the 80s, there were 170,000. These are farmlands, homelands, and then they have their field where different family members would work that field. They rotate every year, and those that were not working the field would work in the cities, in the market. So we have the lakou, and then we have something called combite. Combite is where everyone gets together to build a thing. So this is another. So if you see Haitian music, Haitian dance, there's something called the juba. I do it. I have some dance tapes on the video. You can see me doing the juba. So the juba is that what you have to remember about Africans is work is not work for us. So if we have to produce, right, we're going to dance while we're producing it. So a real combite is when you have the local griot, storyteller, and then you have all the drummers, and then you have the people out in the field, and then they work to that music, to that beat. And so that's how we used to work, and that's the combite. That's not the way the European works. And our language back in the day, like Ana Kaona, the queen that fought off, she was known as a poet, because the pre-Haitian language before the European got here, it was all about like poetry. It was all about articulating in the most beautiful poetic way that you could. And that's what our people was before this Neanderthal came along. So that's the first thing I wanted to correct about we are corrupt because we make $1 a day. That is the colonial narrative. And if Haitians had to depend on a wage, because I think there's only about 40 out of the 10 to 30, you know, they say there are 10 million Haitians. I say there are about 13 million. But using their numbers, 10 million Haitians in Haiti, I think you have less than 100,000 making wage earning jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we're talking about when he says $1, right? He's talking about those 1,000 that are on the grid. But he's not talking about the majority of Haitians who are not on the grid. The Haitian woman is the economic backbone of Haiti, informal economy. She's the one that grows the food, that puts in a canoe and brings it all over. And then we have fishermen, we have craftsmen. These are our informal economy. So I wanted to make a point about that. And then the second part where he says Haitians are corrupt because of lack of education.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to say one thing about that. The most corrupt and vile people on this planet are the educated people.
Mm. Mm. Wow. Well, okay. Well, that's it for the Philippe Matthews Show, ladies and gentlemen. You guys take care, everybody. It was great seeing you. I don't know if you can get canceled on YouTube, on the internet, but if they, you know, I'm sure they're going to try because this is it. I believe this probably is the most honest show in the history of shows as it relates to the truth and the history of IAT and just bringing it real to the people. And I am honored to be a vessel for that. I know I'm going to get the comments. I'm going to have to delete some of y'all. I know because some of y'all crazy as hell. So I thank you, Èzili Dantò, for that deeper level of education, understanding, family, that there's never been a time that we have not been, regardless of your age or however old you are, there's never been a time in the history of you being alive that you have not been under military rule. And I think that's something that we take for granted because we have pseudo freedoms that we take for granted, which in a sense causes us to become complicit in our own demise. And what Sister Dantò is talking about in terms of these entertainers, these what she calls colonial celebrities, you have to look at where do their economics come from. This is why I developed a digitalnomics, is so that you can have your own and develop and become your own economic system off the grid of the economic systems that own you and control you and are part of the problem. But anytime you have an economic system that you are dependent on that has made you a very, quote unquote, in the colonial world, very wealthy and very successful, you are owned and operated in a sense, because that revenue is not generated by the people, by the individual. It's generated by the installed economic system that Professor Kaba was talking about in terms of either socialism or I forgot the other one, the other economic system and structure. So
capitalism.
Capitalism. Thank you, Professor. So that being said, we have to. Stevie Wonder said something in one of his songs, says, learning how to live in the world but not of it. We have to understand that every time the moment that we awakened, we're in a military zone. We could be, have food in the refrigerator, nice house, nice car. All of that is part of the militarization to make us comfortable, to numb us down and dumb us down, to not be able to see. And we're going to have, this is one of the reasons why I'm launching the Wisdom School, and I'm going to be introducing you, the family, to a sister named Nzinga Dahlia, who is a expert in historical trauma, but she's also licensed to be able to counsel us in being able to understand what that historical trauma is and what it means to have this thing called a normalcy bias. A normalcy bias means that you start to numb down from birth, from before you're even in the womb. And we've had Dr. Nichols on, Edwin Nichols on, Dr. Joy DeGruy on. We've talked about axiology. We've talked about epigenetics, genetic memory. All of this is for a reason, to come to the understanding that you are numbed down and dumbed down and militarized before you're even in the womb. And once you come out, you act accordingly within that particular system. And so the concept of being woke, we always talk about that, you know, stay woke, stay woke. Well, the concept of being woke is when you wake up and realize, oh, I'm enslaved. I'm in a military zone and didn't know it all this time. And that's kind of that part of becoming awakened. But then there's different levels of that, right? Because you're still in it. It's like being in the matrix, right? And so everything that you see, you think is real, it's not. Because if it's not going back to what originally means to be Black, and that's really the blueprint that we're going to discuss on previous upcoming shows with Sister Èzili Dantò, is what does it mean to really be Black as it relates to IAT, and what does it really mean to be African? We've had Dr. Wade Nobles on, who's coming back for a series of shows to break down Black psychology and what does it mean to start looking at the world, revisiting, remembering our ancestral history and seeing it through the eyes of African civilization and scholarship. So, that being said, again, Sister Èzili Dantò, thank you so. You know, we've had so many conversations offline. I'm so excited to have you on the show, to just bring some of our offline conversations to the family. I mean, because this was pretty hardcore for some folk. I mean, you know, when you start talking about Oprah and Wycliffe and all this, like, oh, hell to the no. No, she did. Yes, we did. And it, you know, so I'm and they call me the Oprah of internet. I don't know what the hell that's going to mean later on coming down the pike. I have no idea. This might be the last show, so I'm just giving a little time so y'all can enjoy this, because after this, I might just disappear. I don't know what's going to happen. But anyway, Professor Kaba, you and I have had many conversations, both online and offline, about what does it mean to be unapologetically African. And to be able to see all of those nuances and take ownership in how we've played a part in the complicity of our own demise, in the name of comfort, in the name of just being able to have a roof over our head, be able to eat, to be able to survive. Because we know what the opposition of that means, and we also know what it means to be, well, some of us know what it means to be you, in terms of revolutionaries of this time, of this generation, to be able to stand forth and be able to say, look, this is what you are, the Dr. Clarks and the Francis Cress Welsings of this generation, of our time now. So we know what it has taken for you to be able to just stand, right? Just to stand in your skin for the last 30, 40, 50 years, to be the revolutionaries of truth that you are, and to be the voice against everything that is not Black, that is not African. And Sister Dantò, I commend you on saying this, because this is interesting that you said it. I have always modeled myself and my show after Phil Donahue. That was my role model.
No kidding.
That was my idol. I grew up. That's how I knew Francis Cress Welsing. I was 19. I remember seeing Farrakhan. I was 10 years old, 1975, and I remember seeing her on the show. And it changed my life. And I said, that's the guy if I ever did a talk show. And so I started mimicking this guy in terms of how I ask questions and getting into the history of the guest, as opposed to just the surface level of it. So when you said that, I said, okay, I guess I'm kind of on the right track because this is really the guy that I modeled myself after, not taking anything away from Oprah when she came to Chicago, which is my hometown. So I know the whole Oprah story. You know, Stedman Graham endorsed my first book, and it was a chapter in my first book. And he used to take me to NBC's towers and sit me down and tell me about the entire Oprah brand and how everything was built and how to do it and all of these kind of things. And so I know a lot of the intimate inside history. And I remember meeting Oprah. Stedman introduced me to Oprah, and I remember meeting Quincy Jones when he was doing his autobiography at the Book Expo in 2003. And that was when Mark Victor Hansen, the guy who did Chicken Soup for the Soul, labeled me the Oprah of Internet. So that's the full circle of how all of this has come to be. But as I began to ask deeper questions, and I go into this thing called SHOCK, which stands for Seeking Higher Omnipotent Conscious Knowledge, I started seeing problems with a lot of the people whom I had interviewed and had aligned myself with in the past to what I wanted to the information that was necessary for me to grow as a Black person, as an African man. And I started seeing these contradictions. And so that's when my awakening began. And so my show began to shift in terms of structure, in terms of the people. And so I had this ability, this Phil Donahue ability, to be able to ask deep questions and be able to make these connections. And so I started interviewing these kind of folks like you see right now. And this is where I'm going with it. This is what I'm up to. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I want the family to understand this has not been easy. Your awakening, your being woke, however that manifests itself, is not going to be easy. It's not easy right now. It's not going to necessarily get easy, because this is why it's about that next generation. But you have to be at a certain level of consciousness to understand the militarization of this zone that you live in, called America, called IAT, called Puerto Rico, called wherever you are African in the world, you are in a military zone. And if you don't understand that and don't get that, then you are those what Sister Dantò calls those colonial Negroes. You are part of that. You're part of the problem, not part of the solution. So that's why some people watch my show. Some people probably will say, I can't. That's just not my thing. But the people who follow this show, I commend you and I honor you and I love you. I think you're the most brilliant people on the planet. And when I have the opportunity to comment to you and just say thank you, all I can say is thank you, thank you, thank you, because I really want you to understand that the agenda is truth. The agenda is ma'at. The agenda is always, and I know this sounds really bad, but it's always been them against us. It's always been that. It's never, there are some white folk that I have on the show that, would be considered by Disseline as Black, that are acting human. And we're doing a show later today, as a matter of fact, on that with two of my favorite quote unquote white people, Dr. Jacqueline Battlelor and anthropologist Michael Kilman. So there are some that come on that understand their screwed up spiritual nature by however way they have come to realize it, that they've tried to evolve out of their literal nature and become human again. And I have to commend that and I have to honor that. However, Professor Kaba, if you could close us out on this, and that is, can you give us a framework of understanding what it means to be Black, what it means to be African, and what it means to be woke in a militarized life and lifestyle, regardless of how well we might be currently living in this incarnation, that we are, that nothing has changed since the arrival of this species that has created all of the world wars that we are still in and still living and fighting today.
When you go back and you look at the origins, when you look at when Sister Èzili was talking about when we come into this world from a cosmic perspective, we are we are in a sense fractured. We are tuned. Our spirit is in tune, and we evolve. There comes a point in time that in our evolution, which is going through our early years, going through time and growing, that those that stay one with nature begin to involve and begin to search for the creator within. And in searching for the creator within, those that come to realize that they are in fact the creator having a human experience, we begin to realize that in a sense, it's not them against us. It's them against themselves. We just happen to be caught up in the middle of their insanity. These folk have very serious problems. They are spiritually corrupt. They have been put into a situation where they have never been able to understand. Dr. Jacob Carruthers, a brilliant scholar out of Chicago, talks about the two different types of personalities of the original African who sees him and herself as part of nature, cannot separate themselves from nature. And then you have the concept of alienation, which is the Eurasian concept of their existence, which is that nature is out there and they are separate from nature. So therefore they can violate nature and not realize that they are actually violating themselves constantly. And so the militarization that we're in is really their insecurity and their inferiority. And so I think as an African people, as an original people, as a cosmic people, and as the masterpiece of the cosmic universe, what we have to begin to do is just realize the position that we find ourselves in on this planet. And the key that I want to just leave us with is, even if they were to eradicate themselves for whatever reason, even if they were no longer on the planet, are we as a people in a position to look at those 10 areas and be able to take control over our own lives? Are we in an economic position? Do we have a political plan to govern ourselves? Do we have an educational program that can educate all of our children and all of our community? So as we look at those areas, my area, as Sister Èzili said, she has been both in entertainment and in law. My area is education. That's where I've focused most of, if not all of my passion, and understanding what it is that has happened. We are dealing with an extremely fragile people who are extremely violent. Because their environment throughout their entire nursery period was violent towards them. We have to understand the conditions that we find ourselves in. And we have to find a way to go back. And I think that this is something that I got out of the revolution in Haiti from many, many years ago. And that was the concept of democratic socialism. And that's what I was going to before when I was talking about the way in which Èzili just described it. And this is something that Dr. Wade Nobles told us when he spoke to us about the team of psychiatrists that returned to Haiti after the earthquake, that there were psychiatrists that went, and then there were African psychiatrists that went.
That's right.
And Dr. Wade Nobles talked about that as long as he was around where Europeans were, there was problems, there was sadness, there was trouble. But when he went back into the communities where the people were alone, they were on their own, there was, and I don't want to call it celebration, but there was an understanding of the world and how they would handle it. And that there was not the sadness, that there was the spirit of Africa there, that there was an understanding of the psyche, or because psychology doesn't mean the study of the mind. It comes from saku, which means the study of the soul. And so the peoples that people talk about that aren't making money, Dr. Wade Nobles also talks about the idea of what power is. And I always ask the community about power. And if you can answer this question, then you can determine if you have power. And I say, if all the Piggly Wigglies and all of the Pathmarks and ShopRights and all the restaurants closed, that you could no longer eat, go out to eat or buy your food, could you eat dinner tonight? And if you could say yes, then you have power. But if you say no, you don't have power. There was a sister that was a nutritional staff in the school that I worked in, South Central Bronx. She and her sister had a small house with a backyard where they grew cucumbers and tomatoes and various types of food. They had power. And so that when you talk about, and when Sister Ezili's talking about the 70% of in Haiti, they will live forever. That plot of land that belongs to Sister Ezili, if something break here and she go back home, she can live forever because the power is to be able to feed yourself. It's not about the money.
I'm gonna be in a suitcase right behind her.
That, hey, even if you live in a project,
I'll be right there in the suitcase. Be a big ass suitcase, but I'll be right there in it. I swear to God.
Even if you live in a project or a co-op, you can grow food on your windowsill. The idea of agriculture and nature is part and parcel of who we are as a people. And we have to understand that we are a very glorious people who are being put upon because of the fear of a black planet. And this is we have to understand this. And again, here's where I'm going to bring this out, going Nichols and the three axiologies of the various ethnic stocks. The African has a person-to-person relationship. The Asian has a person-to-group relationship. And the European or the Western Asian has a person-to-material wealth relationship. They objectify. So we're at work and we're talking to them and we're laughing, we're sharing pictures and we're having a great time. 5 o'clock, we go outside. All of a sudden, the same person of European descent or Eurasian descent we had a great conversation with passes us like we're not even there. And that is because they objectify people. Because they see everything through material wealth. And so what did Dr. Nichols say? Our answer is to objectify them. And don't take it personal. We take it personal because of the way they are. That's their nature. That's the nature of the wolf. So we go outside. We see wolves outside our door. We go outside. And we're not prepared. The wolf bites us and then we get upset. But you knew the nature of the wolf when you saw it outside your door. Elijah Muhammad tells the story of the 1,000 wolves outside your door. 100. See, this is my response to when people say, I remember Dr. Edward Scobie used to say, don't tell me, Booker, don't tell me nothing about no good white people. He said, because the good ones act as shields for the bad ones. Elijah Muhammad tells the story of the 1,000 wolves outside your door, 100 of which would lay their life on the line to protect you. They are the ones that would do anything. They were the ones in Haiti that fought shoulder to shoulder with the other people, prove themselves to be honorable. The people that you will interview today who are willing to put everything they have on the line to discuss the issues that they face.
That's right. That's right.
There are those that are out there. But the bottom line that Elijah Muhammad said, but out of those 1,000 of 100, you know that will protect you. You don't know where they are in the group of 1,000. Are you ready to go outside? No. So I tell people of European descent, you should respect the fact that I don't trust you, that I prejudge you. Because the last time you came into my community, you came in as the UN. The last time you came into my community, you came in sheep's clothing, but you were the wolf. But there were some of you that weren't like that. So you should expect me to demand that you prove by standing shoulder to shoulder with me.
Absolutely.
Such as in the revolution in Haiti. Prove to me that you are of that nature.
You know what this
Because until then, I ain't trusting you.
That's right. That's right. Sister Zili?
Yes, I was going to say, just to underline what Professor Kaba just said, I want to say this because my work is not for white people. I speak directly.
No, really?
I speak directly to Black people. what I do is I do study the environment I'm in and the white man and his system. Dessalines said, the only thing a white person can do for me is load my gun. That's it. That's the only thing he could do for me. And while he assigned them to load his gun, he had a whole group of people watching them do it. So let's be very, very clear.
Nice.
Right?
Wow.
Right? So this is not about, you know, I want to be a universal friend to anybody. Right now, I'm a Black woman. It is my children that they're destroying all over this planet. Mm-hmm. And when they use the Black collaborators, I name them. Wherever I am, whatever interview I am, I talk about Susan Rice, Condi Rice, Colin Powell, all of them. I name them. And then I say to white folks, because I have a very big, the Èzili network. We reach about 3 million people. I have a very big, I've been out here for a long time. And 20%, or probably maybe a little bit more, are white folks. They know the way I talk. I've always talked this way. I say a couple of things to Black revolutionaries. Understand this. The only Black revolutionaries that are worth their salt are the ones who will work for the collective and not sell out for individual gain and stay on principle. But understand what that means. That means you will have to deal with your people's humiliation. Mm-hmm. And so I can carry it. Can you carry your people's humiliation? Because you will be marginalized. Mm-hmm. You will be economically destroyed. You will be facing, CIA on your phone constantly. You will be so can you stand and be this warrior mm-hmm. for justice? Because being this warrior for justice means that you won't have the approval of the New York Times and the CNNs mm-hmm. and the LA Times and so forth. I mean, I can't tell you how many letters I've written to the New York Times about their negative, racist, stereotypical descriptions about Haiti. Mm-hmm. So if I don't accept it in the hands of the white man, you think I'm going to accept it in the hands of a Black man. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right? So that's it. The same standard I use to go to the New York Times and say, stop saying we are poor when the United States has just built the largest U.S. embassy in the Western Hemisphere in Haiti. Mm-hmm. 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 Stop saying when we're poor when you already know that we have more oil than Venezuela. Stop saying that we're poor when I think they say we have $20 billion worth of gold. And this is one of the things that we're so outraged about with regards to Obama. Because under Obama, he just essentially left Haiti to the Clintons, the foxy white liberals that Malcolm X is always talking about. And those foxy white liberals came in with their Hollywood folks, and they took. There's an area in Haiti where remember I told you the Caracals are one of the Black Africans. In that area, there's a lot of artifacts. They have taken that area out, but the fauna, the flora, the Caracal Bay is a 3.2. I'm going to say that. Just look it up. Caracal Bay, a $3.2 trillion Haiti resource. Mm.
Wow.
So just look it up. And they want to tell you that my people are poor. 3.2 trillion. And guess what Hillary under Obama did? They built a sweatshop on top of it. With all that toxicity. And inside that sweatshop, who they said they took a 600-acre plot of land. There were about over 400 farmers who were feeding their families off of that land. So about maybe over 2,000, 3,000 Haitians were eating off of that land. They took that land. And this is where the caracals are. This is where we have a lot of artifacts. And they are digging under there to go through our gold belt to take it out through Guantanamo Bay, through Dominican Republic, which is the bane of our existence, which just recently denationalized 200,000 Haitians going back to 1929. And Obama said zero. They made apartheid, Dominican Republic made apartheid legal in the Western Hemisphere. Clinton, Obama, all these people said nothing. And so this is what we're living. So I say a couple of things. One of the errors we make as Black warriors and scholars is we tell our people that the greatest goal is to organize a group like masses. And I after all my experience, I know that we will not have the ability to do this organization they're talking about. So you have to stand where you are and use what's in your hand, and then let whoever come. Because when I started the Èzili Network and the Haitian Lawyers Leadership, I started here. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I went out. So what I say to folks who are telling me how overwhelming this colonization is this. Only 1% of the world population is keeping this system together. 1%. Mm-hmm. And we have 7.5 billion people on the planet. We don't need more than 1% Africans to get together. I want those 1% to come with me. That's all I need. And when we get that, just 1%. So don't make as if we have to organize 7 billion people to go after 1%. That's ridiculous. That's tactically, punking yourself out. So you have to think tactically. Frankly, there's a lot of Negroes I don't want next to me. Next to me. So I only want those who are ready to deal with the collective.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
And know, like I said, that you're going to have, when you do that, you will suffer the humiliation of your people. And that is a badge of honor. Because I suffer the humiliation of Haiti every day. And I stand in their faces every day. And I say that, no, we're not poor. Yes, you are the plunderer. And yes, there is so much in Haiti that after all this time, what I have left for those who will come behind me are the 3 Èzili principles. And I'll say them for those who want to know them. Haiti was both Pan-Africanist and Pan-Americanist, because we knew we Blacks were original, not ab-original, but original to the planet. So everywhere I stand is my land. But in this space, Pan-Americanism means that we did not just liberate Haiti. We helped liberate South America. Hmm. We are also, so that's Pan-Americanist, right? We also, during the time of Menelik, stop Ethiopia from being colonized by sending troops and arms. That was Haiti. So we fought to make sure that the Italians did not colonize Ethiopia. That old Haiti is getting destroyed day by day. But we, from the Free Haiti movement, we stand, and there is a concept in Vodun. It's Guinée Posée. It means that Fort Navidad was already destroyed by a Haitian, by a Haitian. And we're not going to keep destroying something we've already destroyed. We won this battle already at Vertières. So it's said Guinée Posée. All is calm in the soul of the African who is centered.
Oh, well, this is a show, ladies and gentlemen, that You know, there are a lot of my shows, obviously, I rewatch. This is one that I'm just going to sit back and just rewatch over and again and again. I've learned so much about not just my family, but just what my mission is, what my position is. It's like a new direction. It's like a new, you know, a new directive. You know, it's like, oh, okay, I was going here. Oh, okay, I need to fine tune it. I need to go over here. This is how I need to be thinking. This is where I need to be. So I really, really appreciate this conversation. And obviously, Sister Èzili, you're going to be back on the show probably more times than you want to do it. You'd be like, damn, Philippe, I got to come back on the show again. I'm so tired of talking. It's like, nope, you got some more stuff to say. We got some more pedophiles we got to put, you know, show about. And we got more people out here. We got to see, you know, the truth about what's going on. So Professor Kaba, she talked about the 1%. You talk about the 3 out of 100. Sounds like we're all on the same page here. Close us out with remarks to next level thinking and next level mission.
Well, I just want to thank you, Brother Philippe, for this opportunity to bring this type of program to the attention of our community. And I thank my sister, Attorney Èzili, for her ongoing life system and the work that she's doing, because the work she's doing is the work she's doing for all of us. Continuing this process is going to make it happen. And I just say keep on keeping on, because it ain't over until we win.
Fantastic. All right, Èzili Dantò, Professor Kaba Hiawatha Kamene, thank you so much. Stick around with me in the green room as we sign off. Thank you, family, for watching this. This has been historic for me. Thank you for, in terms of the pagan calendar, thank you for another year of this, of this show, of working with me and following what we're doing. And we're getting ready to have Brother Patah Sakar Asar on with Professor Kaba. As you can see, we're going to be talking about our actual calendar, our cosmic calendar, as it relates to Gagut and Dr. Gabriel Ayibo. And we're going to get back to our cosmic time and be right on time, as they not only stole us, but they also stole our time. So that's the next level where we're going. That's our agenda. It's for us, by us. And we'll see you next time on the Philippe Matthews Show Live. Take care, everybody.